Good afternoon. It is Monday, October 20th, 2025. We are still watching closely on Invest 98L as it continues to become much better organized here with a lot of banding features to the northeast and to the east of the circulation. We also had some very heavy rainfall, strong winds, and some flooding over some of the windward islands this morning. And I'm really hoping anybody watching this video has survived the system and is not dealing with a whole lot of flooding anymore. Although there is still some showers and thunderstorms here percolating this afternoon and evening on some of those windward islands south of Guadeloupe. Now, if you haven't been here before and you do find these tropical weather outlook and discussions on Invest 98L very helpful, detailed, informative, and life-saving, please don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. Hit the bell notification icon to get daily tropical weather updates and live streaming coverage on this system, along to go with also hitting the like button and sharing this video with their family and friends on social media. So here's a look at the latest satellite imagery here north of Venezuela in the southeastern Caribbean Sea here for Monday afternoon. And as we can see clearly, the system is showing signs of better organization this afternoon than it did yesterday. Yesterday, we were seeing more blobbiness to the convection, not much organization with it. Now, this afternoon, we have a very different structure going on here. For one thing, we have a mid-level circulation, even in the upper levels of the atmosphere that is located right here, with the low-level spinner somewhere over here. It is very hard to tell this afternoon exactly what's going underneath the hood of these cirrus clouds, but my best estimate here is that we have a non-closed wave axis somewhere down here just to the northeast of Aruba. And I'll show you that here on an earlier ASCAP pass that will prove my point here. We also have a very strong easterly flow on the northern side of the wave pocket as well, which indicates there is a lot of vorticity being generated underneath all of this convection, which will help lower the pressures and get tropical cyclone Guidence going a little bit faster than what we previously thought, since we have all of this convection here helping to cause some diffluence aloft and helping to bring in that air surrounding the system inward to lower the pressures. We also have, again, these convective banding features that are slowly beginning to organize, especially to the northeast of the system, which is a healthy sign for the wave that it is actually going to likely develop than not. All right, and so anybody living in Jamaica that's not on this map and Hispaniola, Dominican Republic need to be watching this system very closely because we are looking at significant tropical development with Invest 98L in the coming days. Here's a look at that earlier ASCAP pass that came in about 6 hours ago. So this is a little bit old, but we can't help it because these miss the system periodically. And so this was the most recent one that did not miss the system at all. And we again have winds of 30 knots to the north of the system. So that is very close to tropical storm force, tropical depression winds happening on that side of the system. However, down here to the south, though, we do not have westerly winds, which would otherwise indicate a closed, well-defined circulation. And the wave pocket is still elongated from northeast to southwest. So we have still this wind coming like this on the eastern wave pocket, and then the waves or the winds sharply come around out of the northeasterly direction. So right now at the moment, this is not a bona fide system that would really beg the question, is it a tropical depression or not? It does not seem to be that way right now, but the convective banding features over time here with a lot of convection overall in this type, in this configuration, will overall allow vorticity spin-ups happening here. We have a little bit of one right here that might already be working its way on the northern side, and over time, this will help to close off a surface low and develop this into a tropical depression, but might take another day or two for that to occur. Right now, the National Hurricane Center gives us a 90% chance of tropical development over the next 5 to 7 days over the Central Caribbean. This includes for Jamaica, Honduras, Belize, as well as Nicaragua, as well as Hispaniola, the Dominican Republic. You need to be watching this system very closely as this could likely become our next tropical storm. This would be Tropical Storm Melissa, our 13th named storm of the 2025 Atlantic hurricane season. So with that being said, this next section of the video is going to be quite lengthy, and that's because we're going to be looking at all of our reliable global computer models, their ensembles, rainfall forecast, how strong will your winds get, Who's going to get impacted? And when is this going to explode potentially into something very significant? So please bear with me here as we look at all of our models. And we're going to first start looking now at the European deterministic model because it's one of our most accurate models. And then we'll be looking at the GFS and our two pair of hurricane models, the halves A and the halves B. So let's get started. So looking at the European model here for this afternoon on your Monday, the 20th and the 21st of October, 2025. And we can see with what our winds are like here in the very lower parts of the atmosphere, right around 100 meters above the surface, which is roughly about 330 feet. When you look at it from a U.S. Height perspective. And we have winds here of 40 knots or so. That's about 45 to almost 50 miles an hour. But when we look at the actual surface here, winds are about 35 knots, okay? So putting this into motion here, the system does not really consolidate in a hurry over the next 24 or 36 hours. It does take its own sweep time because of vertical wind shear, which we'll be getting to in part of this discussion. But the system does close off a surface low, so more than likely this will be a tropical storm. I guarantee you by tomorrow early morning or tomorrow afternoon, if not even as early as tonight. We'll see if the NHC wants to initiate PTC advisories on this. It wouldn't surprise me because we'll be going live on this anyways, doing a live discussion tonight at around 8 o'clock Pacific Daylight Time for you all. And then look what happens. The system really tries to get its oomph together. So in about a couple of days here on the European model, by Wednesday morning on the 22nd of October, we have a system that is not moving very much. This is moving pretty darn slow. It really puts on the brakes. It's like it hits an intersection. There's a traffic light there and it's literally flashing on the storm red. Don't go. There's cars moving across. And that's why we have this system that just literally just stops. It's kind of like it hits an intersection. A great analogy here. I even could draw an intersection here. So here's your road. There's your road. And then it kind of just stops there, right? If that makes sense. Hopefully I did good at drawing that. So putting this now all the way into Wednesday afternoon, the system just really slows, man. I'm telling you, 54 to 60 knot winds. That's close to hurricane intensity in about 2.5 to 3 days. And as matters of fact, by Thursday morning, this could end up becoming a hurricane. Does not surprise me at all. Some of our most aggressive hurricane models want this to a category 1 at this point, while the European model still thinks it's going to be a strong tropical storm. But of course, global models cannot resolve things as fine detail as our hurricane models. So therefore, take this with a grain of salt. I think it's going to be a little bit stronger than what the European model is showing, but you never know. It could be as strong as with what it's showing or weaker than what it's actually showing. But long story short, this is going to be a bona fide system. I guarantee you by tomorrow and for sure by Thursday, we'll have a tropical storm to track here, and this will become Melissa. But then surprisingly, by the time we go into Friday or Thursday night into Friday, it actually weakens. And you might be surprised, like, whoa, Melissa's weakening here. Winds down to 30 knots. That's not very strong at all. That's a low to mid-grade tropical depression. But this is when it gets extremely dangerous, all right? Because there's a little bit of vertical wind shear that's going to tilt this for us. So that's why the system is going to fall apart a little bit briefly. Potentially that's what the Euro is showing. But then once the shear abates, we have a lot of moisture and a lot of heat energy being stored with the system. This thing is going to go, it's going to literally, she's going to go crazy. Melissa's going to go crazy on everybody. And you can see it right here, really taking off. So by day 5 and day 6, so by Sunday morning, we have winds of about 60 to 70 knots perhaps. And look how strong that gets right there. That is a 100 knot system. That is a major hurricane on the European model in about 7 days. So now, of course, I don't like going out beyond 7 days, but people want to know, is it going to impact them at this point, right? This is moving very slowly. And you can see it right here. If we go back in time, look at it, just sits there. It just sits. So it stops here by Friday morning, sits there for a full day perhaps, and by Sunday morning, it has not moved very much. It really has not. So that is a very big concerning factor here, is the stall it does. If it stalls, the vertical wind shear is much lighter than what was anticipated. We could have a much stronger system than what the European model is actually telling us. And then look what ends up happening. It moves pretty much across the easternmost portion there of Jamaica in about 8 to 9 days. All right. So this is not really fantasy land because this has been on many model runs so far, showing a system right in this general area. Actually, the Euro was much further west, so we don't know exactly who's going to get impacted, but this is going all over the place. But the fact now that I'm about to show you between the Euro and the GFS, there's some agreement here that this is going to come very, very close to the island here, and there is over something like 2 or 3 million people that live here. I may be wrong. There might be twice more than that. Let me look it up. Okay, Jamaica is home to almost 3 million people. So again, if you're watching this from Jamaica, if you're watching this from the Dominican Republic, please subscribe to the channel because this could be a very, 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 very substantial national disaster, especially for the poor small island here of Jamaica. I really pray, I really pray to the Lord that this does not impact Jamaica and stall, because that's what some of the models are actually showing. This would be a Category 4 hurricane, essentially a Category 4 hurricane moving thankfully quickly over Jamaica after it stalls, but where that stall even happens at this point, who knows, all right? But you can see still a very strong hurricane after it makes its crossing over eastern Jamaica, and then it moves over eastern Cuba as a hurricane, and then moves back over the Atlantic here, over the Bahamas, where it might do more significant damage as a high-end Category 2 hurricane potentially. Man, this is going to be a system that we're going to be tracking for at least 10 days plus. It could be longer than that for all we know, especially when it stalls like this and where we really don't know where it's going to go. All right. Now, looking at the GFS model here, because again, I want to give you guys some insight on two different models on what they are showing. So the GFS model has, again, that same scenario, but now instead it doesn't really stall, okay? It slows down significantly, but it doesn't stall at all like the European model is showing. So instead, it could make landfall over the central portion of the Dominican Republic, the Haitian Peninsula, as well as Hispaniola, in about 80 hours, which is a distinct possibility here. But what the NHC is saying with that highlighted area, let me bring it up here very quickly. You can see they're not following the GFS scenario, and there are a lot of ensembles to back that up with the NHC with what they're showing, meaning that the GFS unfortunately could be an outlier. I'm not saying it's a true liar, pants on fire model, but it has been really locked onto this scenario, and our system is still moving to the west at an appreciable rate. So we will see if the GFS truly is correct in this scenario with it doing this without that stall versus what the European model is actually showing. So then eventually it does try to stall and kind of meander here. You can just see it just really not moving very much. And then it finally kicks out of there. So in some sense, yeah, the GFS has it stalling, but much further north of Hispaniola and the Dominican Republic and out of the Caribbean, versus the European model has a stall a lot faster, but doesn't stall it over the Bahamas, if that makes sense. All right, so this, again, is a system that we are going to need to watch closely. And last but not least on our list is a Canadian model. Actually, I'm not even going to show you the Canadian model, or should I? I will, just for the heck of it, and you can see the Canadian model makes this go west of Jamaica as a tropical depression or even a tropical storm, but is a lot weaker than our other models. Now, what about those hurricane models, the halves A and the halves B? My favorite models. They have done really good this hurricane season. So how are they doing with 98L, you might ask? Well, doesn't look very good on the other side. So let's put this into motion here at looking at the system. And this model projects that we may have some mesovortices here, a bit of a mesovortice spinner there to the northwest of the primary area of broader circulation. So that could have tropical storm force winds with it. So this is a model that we like to look at other than global models too, because you can get the fine detail, the mesoscale futures that it's actually forecasting. Again, everything here is a forecast, folks, and it's not actually what will 100% happen or verify. Okay, the atmosphere is very chaotic. It's always chaotic state. So we cannot forecast much beyond 12 hours out with mesoscale details like a blob of thunderstorms. Will it be exactly there in 12 hours? We don't know. But we look at convective signals that, okay, if there's a lot of convection in this general area, we can forecast that, oh, there's going to be tropical storm force winds in this broad area. But something like this right here, I don't think that's going to verify. I really don't, just because of how small it is. But it is worth noting here, though, that that does try to become the primary spinner in about 48 hours. And yeah, we have a very compact circulation here. Look how small that is. 92-mile-an-hour wind there in that inner core structure with a broader tropical storm force wind field to the north. But the thing about this model is, yeah, it shows it's stalling. It makes it move to the north towards, say, the Haitian Peninsula, but then watch what happens. So in about beyond 3 days, 4 days out, watch what happens. Just pay attention. Pay attention to the coast here, to the peninsula, right? Really look at that closely, because watch what's going to happen to the peninsula. Instead of the peninsula moving down like this, the peninsula is going to be moving north again. Watch this. See, it's going to go a little bit north. Doesn't move very much. Follow me on that? Follow me? It's not moving. And the system really strengthens very quickly here, up to 115-mile-an-hour hurricane in about 5 days, which is a distinct possibility. The Euro is much more aggressive in 5 days. So that's something to consider here in today's update, that the hurricane models take a little longer to strengthen the system versus a European model wants to go a little faster at that rate of strengthening. All right, so looking at the halves B now, similar model here, of course. They are both brothers and sisters. So putting this into motion, you can see again how the system stalls a little further offshore. So, of course, you can see here in about 105 hours out by Friday early afternoon on the 24th of October. And here's the same time frame, and you can see roughly, let's go back right there. There we go. The same time frame, but only the halves A has it stalling out or kind of retrograding a little bit further north versus our halves B has it stalling, essentially not moving at all, staying in the same spot for the rest of the period. So all the way out to 5 days, we have a strong strengthening hurricane here of 102 or 105 or so mile an hour winds. That's category 2 hurricane. So something to consider here. Where this is going to go, where it's going to rapidly bonify, we don't know. But now what is for certain is there's going to be a lot of rainfall, because we're dealing with a potential stalling system. Where is it going to stall? When is it going to stall? Those are answers I don't have in today's update. But what we do know, it is going to significantly slow down to very slow velocities, down to as low as maybe 1 or 2 miles an hour. It's going to be crawling. But will it stall? That is looking a little bit more on the table at the moment. So how much rainfall will you see with this? Because a stalling system, rainfall accumulations are going to add up very quickly over the next 6 or 7 days here. From the European Ensemble forecast, notice how I'm not using a deterministic model yet. I'll show you that here in just a second with the rainfall totals, because I wanted to show you the most likely outcome here. And right now, it does look like Jamaica could get up to 4 or 6 inches of rainfall. We could see up to a foot of rainfall potentially along the southern coast of Hispaniola. The Haitian Peninsula of Haiti could get up to at least 10 or 12 inches of rainfall. That isn't too surprising given the fact that it does stall somewhere over here. We have had different solutions on this, though. Past model runs had it lesser. If we go back to the 12Z from yesterday, it was even little lesser. So we've had this uptrend in recent runs now, showing significant precipitation over far eastern Jamaica into the Haitian Peninsula of the Dominican Republic. Now, looking at the operational model, this is a 7-day rainfall forecast, of course, and you can see most of the rain would fall offshore. I don't even want to take you all into the 10-day forecast on the European model. You don't want to see it. You don't want to see it. Believe me, it is purple, purple, purple all over the place. And of course, people will complain that, why do you not go 10 days out? Okay, I'll go 10 days out. And you can see there's your 10-day forecast. Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of purple there. And I really, really pray that does not happen. And I don't think it's going to. It's a huge outlier model here, especially with where it's going, where it's going to stall. But man, that is a lot of rainfall. A lot of rainfall in about 10 days. In fact, some areas could get 60 inches of rainfall. So think about 60 inches in your head and think about this is 10 days in time frame. So that's like 2 or 3 inches, something like that. My calculations serve properly. A day, that's a lot of rainfall. Okay, so the GEFS ensemble forecast also highlights up to about 12 to 14 to even 16 inches. So yeah, I am afraid there's gonna be a lot of impacts. All right, and again, I'm speaking from honesty and truth here, folks. I really pray that this does not hurt anybody. We do not want any more flooding. We don't want anybody getting hurt. I'm afraid someone's going to want to take pictures and take video out there and be like, oh, here's a storm surge and here we have a lot of rainfall. So I really, really emphasize and pray that this does not stall anywhere close to any land areas and it just mind its own business. MYOB, Melissa, you don't need to be hitting anybody right now. This is not the time to do it. All right. So the artificial intelligence AI model in Ensemble shows pretty much a similar output here. So yeah, a lot of rainfall, unfortunately, for Jamaica, for Puerto Rico, perhaps in this case, as well as the Dominican Republic. So my intensity forecast is pretty much within most of the model guidance. I'm right down in the middle here, showing a gradual intensity increase with the system, and then it strengthens a little bit more. And I bring this to a mid-grade category 1 with 100, well, not with 100, but with winds of about 85 to 90 miles per hour or so. Actually, 90 is used. I think 90 is used, yeah. So up to 90 mile an hour winds are expected. That's what I'm forecasting right now. But of course, people out there that leave comments on this video will say, oh, David, I think this is going to become a Cat 5. Again, assuming that it becomes a Wilma is not the right choice to make here. Let's not assume that. Okay, our hurricane models, I believe, are outliers. I think they're too bullish, in my opinion, on this because, again, some vertical wind shear that does get involved, maybe some drier air that does try to stoke in from the west. That might impact the development cycle of Melissa or of Invest 98L, but I do see this becoming a hurricane between 75 miles an hour up to 90 miles an hour. A category 2 right now, I'm not too confident on that right now, but regardless of intensity, if this stalls or moves slowly somewhere, this is going to bring a lot of rainfall, and we could see a couple of feet of rainfall in some areas. That is a distinct possibility. Now, where is this actually going, you might ask? So most of the models are actually, yeah, a good deal of the models don't have this stalling, but they do have it moving very slowly in this general area. This is our 18Z model track guidance forecast, and I want to make it clear here. I'm going to show you all of the other ensembles from the deterministic model, the operational guidance, okay? This is not a 100% forecast. So anybody looking at this map and thinking that, oh, the system, David, most of the models are having this hit the Haitian Peninsula, but not Jamaica. That does not mean things will shift back to the west again. All right. Let's not assume that, oh, it's going to for sure hit the Haitian Peninsula. 100% chance it's going to happen because we don't know. Okay, a system that stalls or moves very slowly, things could change to the north of the system that yank this further west, bring this to the northwest towards Jamaica, and not stall it or bend it out to sea like this. Okay, there's a lot of different scenarios that are in play with this. And just to go to show you just how uncertain the forecast actually is, that was one piece of the model guidance. Here's the full picture. This is from the European Ensemble forecast, showing us that, yes, you see this distinct turn, but then look at all these squiggly lines here. I mean, come on. We have scenarios as far northwest as the Northwestern Caribbean. Yeah, and there's one major hurricane track here, and some of them bring it close to Florida over the northern Bahamas, while others turn this out to sea, well away from the Bahamas, out into the middle of the Atlantic. So we have very big, wild outcome scenarios here. So that, again, is one piece of the model guidance. We have all of these other ensembles. And until we get a cluster of these combining into one little, think about like you have a lot of yarn, somewhat a lot of yarn, and it's all over the place. You need to stretch that yarn until all the strings kind of like line up. I'm not good with analogies, but you get the idea, right? You want everything to be clustered like this for confidence, right? There's very low confidence with who's going to get hit right now. All we know is that we think this is going to become a hurricane. The intensity is probably more straightforward than the track guidance. And the GEFS ensemble is not any better either. Look at this. Some of the tracks far eastern Dominican Republic, some of the tracks are still over Jamaica and over Cuba and around the same time frame. So again, not a set in stone forecast. Now looking at the Google DeepMind AI model, yeah, most of them are into the Haitian Peninsula of the Dominican Republic, but look at all of these spaghettios over here, or spaghetti plots, these tracks. Yeah, they're pretty far west from the main area of clustered, okay, and right over Jamaica. Okay, so we're not done yet seeing shifts to the west or to the east or to the south. Okay, so long story short, you need to get prepared for this. If you are close, well, I would say you should get prepared. We're still days away from this impacting anybody, but definitely stay tuned for the forecast as things will change. And look at the Google DeepMind AI generational model. Look at this, much further west. All of it is west of most of our model guidance. Yeah, now you'll say that, oh yeah, there's a lot of uncertainty, David. There truly is. There truly is. But anyways, if you did find today's tropical weather outlook and discussion very helpful, detailed, informative, and life-saving on Invest 98L with the impacts such as heavy rainfall, flooding, and strong winds that are anticipated for some locations, please don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. Hit the bell notification icon to get daily tropical weather updates, including live streaming coverage. Please hit the like button and share this video with their family and friends on social media. As always, I'll be back with you tonight with another tropical weather update live stream coverage, including our model data that will be coming in as well. I'm excited to see you all tonight on that. But otherwise, thank you all for watching.